up, you guys? My name's Alan.
My name's Cassandra.
And welcome back to AJ and K TV. So today what we're going to talk about is time travel conspiracy theories. And we have a new guest. Would you like to introduce him?
He's Jeffrey. And for those who don't know him, he's going to be joining us every single Conspiracy Theory Wednesdays. So today we're going to be talking about time travel, which means it's a moving between different points in time. Which means people for centuries have been moving through time, and people, either secret travelers or even known travelers. But sometimes people think that the government are trying to hide time traveling. So some of the things that are an example of time traveling is Mandela effects, which we talked about in our last video. What do you think?
Basically what I personally think is basically there's a movie out that has been like it's a really old movie, and it has to do with basically, it's called The Butterfly Effect. And it has to do with a lot of time travel or something that, like, basically they go into the past, they change something little, and then they go back into the future, and then there's like this huge thing where everything's changed. Like, there's random stuff that's changed, and then there's even other movies like Back to the Future. That's a hit movie, and a lot of that has to do with time travel. So in my opinion, like, I'm just gonna go for a little bit of a rant. So in my opinion, it's like, if time travel isn't possible and never will be, how can they make the movies and like say that there's a possibility? You know what I mean?
Even like in the movies, like in Back to the Future, they were saying that in 2020 we'd have flying cars, or we'd have technology that is beyond our years.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I believe that in the future there is things that we don't know about, technology, time machines, everything, that basically say that maybe it's just we're living in different parallel universes, which is the reason why we have Mandela effects.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
But like I said, that's basically like I said. So with the butterfly effect, something small was changed, and then something big. So basically, that's why I think Mandela effects are really real, because, like, just like the movie Shazam or the Looney Tunes logo or whatever we talked about in that video, like little things like that. Probably someone did something, and then random things were changed. That's just the way I believe it, honestly. So the next thing we're going to talk about, which is another thing, is that a lot of people think that UFOs are actually time machines. Personally, I don't really believe that, but in the same way, I've never seen a UFO.
Well, the thing is that when people describe seeing UFOs, they're always different kinds of structures, they're different kinds of machines. So it could be a different variation of each person's time machine. Honestly, I believe that aliens are aliens and they're real, but I don't believe that they're time travelers traveling through the universe.
Yeah, I don't really believe that.
It could be. We don't know. Again, we don't know.
Trust me, we're not debunking anything. We have no clue. But we're just saying that personally...
But that is one of the conspiracy theories that people are saying.
This is basically just personal belief, in my opinion.
So the next one we're going to talk about is celebrities through time looking the same in old photos. What do you think about that, Alan?
What do I think? Okay, so basically what I think is that a lot of celebrities, in my opinion, probably could time travel, in my opinion. Like, I don't see why not. Because, like, they're rich. Like, if anyone's gonna have the ability to do it, they would have the ability to do it. Just like when people say, like, oh, for our future, by the way, we're gonna do this in a future video, the creator of The Simpsons, he's a time traveler because he knows all this stuff that's happening. Like, what we're gonna talk about, the Charlie Chaplin movie. Like, this is another thing, that the movie The Circus has a woman walking through in a scene, and she has some type of iPhone or some type of mobile phone.
Yeah. And
it's like, that was in 1928. So how does that make sense when there was no phones at least until the early 1970s? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Also other things with Nicolas Cage, where he looks like, who does he look like?
He looks like he looks like a Tennessee man. just a random Tennessee man that looks from 1870, and then he looks like one of the Mexican emperors from the 19th century. So Maximiliano Habsburgo, I don't know if I said that right. I probably butchered the name, but that is who he looks like. And then you have others like Jay-Z, who looks like a man from Harlem in 1939.
And then like Jennifer Lawrence, who looks like the Egyptian princess. Basically, she looks like an Egyptian actress from the 1940 or whatever. And then there's also a minor named Charlie Burns who looks exactly like Justin Timberlake. Exact. And then there's also other people, like a revolutionary
Cayenne, which was from 1946, who looks identical to Jimmy Fallon.
Yep.
And then you have a Spanish painter, Diego Velázquez, from 1599. Velázquez. Sorry, butchered the name. To 1660, who looks identical to Peter Dinklage.
There's another person, you all know Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe. He looks exactly like a random Manchester man. It's just all of this stuff. And then there's an African American novelist, Zora Neale Hurston.
Yeah.
Xan, you gotta write things better, man. I'm sorry. Who looks exactly like Queen Latifah. All these people that, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, these celebrities, like, they look exactly like, I know there could also be ancestors or whatever, but it's like, I don't think that, like, you know what I mean?
Or they could be reptilians. You never know.
We talk about reptilians for, but like, the thing that I don't get is that just like, if they were ancestors, like, there'd be distinct differences in their face. Like, we don't look exactly alike, and we're like siblings, because, like, we don't look alike, and we're like in the same like time frame. Imagine someone like 500 years ago looking exactly like a person. It's not. It's like, it's kind of unheard of. Like, I wouldn't see, like, going into the history book, see Nicolas Cage's face and be like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
There was even a thing where in the 1938, like the year 1938, there was a lady coming from the factory with a lot of people with an object near her ear. And like I said, and like my brother said, phones weren't created until April 3rd, 1973. And this is 1938. And she looks like she's having a cell phone near her face.
That's literally 45 years before.
So it's crazy to think that time traveling has been here for ages, like for centuries.
See, there's, in my personal opinion, there's two explanations for that. One, they're time travelers and they decide to just do whatever is in the future. Or two, basically they're just props maybe, and maybe the cell phones and things like that were created a lot before they were documented. There's also a possibility, because personally, like, I believe in the time travel.
It could have been glitched too. It could
have been
like,
anything.
photoshopped.
Anything.
Well.
Because, like, I believe in all this stuff, but it's like, at the same time, like, I kind of doubt it too. You know what I mean?
But now that we talked about celebrities and the media kind of doing time travel, now we're going to talk about real life events that some people have seen it happen.
Yep.
So one of the examples is the tiny watch in 2008. So in 2008, they found a tiny watch from a 400-year-old tomb
Just
from
moving
Hong
Jeffrey,
Mun
guys.
Emperor's tomb. So he was an emperor of China. And what happened was they found the tiny gold watch with the time froze from 6 past 10. With the watch on the back, it said Swiss watch. So this is kind of weird because 400 years ago, in a Chinese tomb with an emperor, they didn't have gold Swiss watches. The Swiss watch company wasn't invented 400 years ago. So the fact that they found
Was there even really watches back then?
no, they didn't even have any technology to provide any of that kind of gold. The most they
because
had
that was a long time ago.
the most they had was gold earrings, gold necklaces, and bracelets. They didn't have technology to make watches 400 years ago.
Especially ones that like work with technology. Like technology back then was basic.
Watches include batteries. So the fact that it was frozen in time for past 6 past 10 and it had the label of Swiss watch is just crazy. So another one that is very popular is the Moberly Jourdain incident. So in 1911, there's a claim of time travel and hauntings made by Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain. So in 1911, they published a book titled An Adventure under the names Elizabeth Morrison and Frances Lamont. So what happened was their book describes a visit they made to the Petit Titillon and a small chateau in the grounds of the Palace of Versailles. So what happens is these people are basically stating that they visited this place. Yet it happened in the 1800s, and they were born around 1863, but decided to make the claim in 1911. So that is that that's a good century between each other.
Yeah, that's a long time.
With their entitlements, they said that they claimed to see the gardens as they'd been in the late 18th century, as well as ghosts including Marie Antoinette. They claimed in the book that they chilled with Marie Antoinette before she died. And they basically seen farmers and they seen all these people chilling and they seen supposedly a bridge that didn't exist.
See, okay, I believe in that, but like at the same time, it's like there's doubts because like I know like a lot of people probably would say like, oh, they're probably just high or they're probably just like crazy or whatever. That's personally kind of what I believe because like at the same time, I do believe in time travel, but I feel like why would you go 100 years when you can go like way farther back? You know what I mean?
But the weird part about it was that they basically predicted some of the events and some of the hauntings that would occur later on. So what happened was they basically said that there was going to be paranormal activity from Maria Antoinette. So basically they recalled the paranormal activity from her before she even died. So that's what's scary. And then after the activities, they actually made a movie about it. Well, I don't have the title of the movie, but in 2004 they actually made a movie based on the book that they made. So a second occurrence in time was the Scottish time slip, which was an air marshal, Sir Robert Victor Goddard, which flew planes in the Second World War. He was a senior commander during World War II during a flying mission in 1935. He believed his experience, what he believed, was a time slip. So he was flying through the air and it was rainy and dark. And what happened was, eventually it went from rainy to dark to a complete sunny day. So before he flew past it, he saw a place where there was just cows and farmland that wasn't being used. After he got into a time slip, it got into a sunny, not rainy day. And then he goes past the same place and he goes through time. And instead of seeing the cows in the farmland that wasn't being used, he seen people with blue overalls and he saw basically yellow planes. So now you might think, oh, maybe he went to a different place. But that was 4 years after 1935. Because the creepy part about it is 4 years later from 1935, the American military changed their outfits to blue overalls, and they decided to change the plane color to yellow. So before that, in 1935, it was a silver aluminum color for the planes, but then 4 years prior, they changed it to yellow. So what he believes is that he went in a slip in time to 4 years after 1935.
So basically, what they're like, basically what that kind of like is like what people say the Bermuda Triangle is. Basically, like it's like a time slip. So like if you go through it, it's like things are gonna appear different or whatever's gonna happen, and like some weird time shit's gonna happen, basically.
Yeah. And the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is John Teacher. So he's very famous for the internet, and I'm pretty sure if you talk about time travel, he usually comes up. So he was a fellow from the year, supposedly, 2036. He claimed to be an American military
Oh, I know this one.
time traveler, and he made wrong predictions regarding numerous events in 2004. So basically, the world was going crazy because supposedly this guy claimed to say that he was from the future and he knew all these things, and a picture came out where it was in the 1920s where everyone was dressed in 1920s clothing and he was dressed in modern day clothing with the glasses, the cardigan, and the t-shirt. So what happened is that they actually debunked it, and they said that he was a hoax. But was he really a hoax? That's the question.
See, the thing is, I've seen this photo many, many times. What I personally believe of it is that either he went to, like, you know, like how they have those kind of conventions and stuff where people dress up and stuff like that, and he went like that, and just like there was like, he asked maybe someone to take a picture or whatever. I don't know. But that's personally what I might believe.
Again, we live in a time with great technology that you can just Photoshop any picture inside.
Yeah, or Photoshop like
But
that.
the fact that this was 2004, we didn't really have the technology back then.
Trust me, there was still good technology back then. Photoshop was still a possible thing. There's still things that we can edit.
Well, honestly, what do you guys believe? Comment down below.
Yeah, you tell us what you believe. Personally, we'll tell you what we believe, and we personally believe that either... Actually, I'm like neutral. I don't really know. What do
Well,
you think?
supposedly it was debunked as a hoax, but not all things are what they say.
Exactly.
So that is everything, guys.
Yep.
And I hope you guys liked today's video.
Alright, so basically, yeah. So that's pretty much it from us. And yeah, we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Like, share, comment, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.